Um, that super chat brought a very big smile to my face because, Todd, I could not agree with you more. Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment. You got to click the bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live each and every single weekday, and sometimes on Sunday for the weekly close on the YouTubes. You can also find me on Instagram if you're into some gym motivation. I am on TradingView, and I'm on X/Twitter. It's one word. It's Crypto Bull Guy. Guys, glad to be with you today. A little bit earlier than normal at 5 p.m. Speaking of 5 p.m., just a reminder tomorrow that Tony the Bull BTC will be coming on the live stream tomorrow. If you're not following Tony, I would strongly recommend it. I'm not going to come out here and suggest that you follow anyone on X or Twitter or YouTube from an educational resource standpoint if I did not place a tremendous amount of value on their content. So make sure to check out his content. Give him a follow. He was on here in late July. He's going to be back tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. I ironed out the time with him today. That'll be at 5 p.m. We have a really good agenda that I had tweeted out here. Let's take a look at that real quick before we get into things. So tomorrow, a couple different interesting discussion points. Where are we at here? Yes, so, and this is all Tony covering this, okay? So you're going to get his viewpoint on the market. So he's going to be specifically talking about the relative strength index on both the S&P as well as Bitcoin. He's going to be discussing some price action on Bollinger Bands with Bitcoin. He's also going to give his own personal thoughts on topping signals. You guys know that I've still yet to put out a video. I'm hoping this weekend would be a great time to actually get it put together. I have some time to myself, which will be nice. There's a couple videos on my to-do list. One of them is putting out a topping signals video. Tony's going to be discussing what his personal topping signals are for Bitcoin. I'm sure you guys will be very interested in that. And also, we'll just share some additional thoughts since the last time that we live streamed in July, right? It's a great, I think this is a great time, 8 months forward in time here since our initial live stream together, just sharing some additional thoughts based on some things we commented specifically on in the prior live stream. So make sure to tune into that 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Let's see who we have in the live stream. Juan is the first one in here. Glad to see you in here, my friend. It's funny. Cass has really been the only leverage trading play that I've been playing with that has worked out for me. I've had more wins than losses in terms of overall portfolio gain, but the number of losing trades that I've had on other tokens, I've had I think 1, 2, 3, 4 big Caspa trades, 2 losses on Caspa, but that netted out very handsomely. But again, I don't want to, I'll talk about the ones that I lose too. I actually don't really want to spend too much time talking about leverage because I think I see a lot of that on X, and I just think it gives the wrong impression. I don't fuck around with leverage with any material amount of money, so I don't really even want to focus on it. But anyway, John, glad to see you in here. Oof, let's fucking go. You're feeling pumpy. You have every reason to be. We are in the fun times right now. This year is going to be explosive. Todd, thank you once again for the super chat. I love the perspective with this super chat. So when I was going through the difficult time that I was going through with my surgery here, if you're not aware of the situation there, you can check out the live stream when I made my official comeback to YouTube. But the best thing that anyone told me while I was going through is actually my caregiver during that time. What she told me was the most impactful thing that I was told during my recovery time, which was because I was very frustrated with the post-surgical complications. It was a really rough time. What she told me was every day is one day closer to your recovery. And it was something that I continued to remind myself of, and something that helped me to get through that. And what you just said reminded me of that. And today really is one day and one step closer towards financial independence, brother. I couldn't agree with you more, Todd. Such a great statement. Rashid, really happy to see you in the live stream. I may have financial independence with all these super chats. I might just want to quit my 9 to 5 and just live off super chats. Kathleen, it's always really nice to see you. Oof, this is a question for the CBG podcast, not the Crypto TA live stream. So bring that back to the CBG podcast. I don't know if I'm going to have one going on. I got to try to get one out this week. I just don't know if I'm going to have time for it. If it's not this week, hopefully next week. But that's a question for the live stream, my friend. We can certainly talk about it live. All right, let's get into the charts here. Now, one of the things that the way that I've reformatted the channel is that I do live TA Q&A every Tuesday and Thursday. So I dedicate 2 days a week to taking your TA questions. Now, because Tony is coming on here for the live stream tomorrow, I've decided to mix things up this week. And while I will be covering, just want to make sure my VPN isn't causing an issue. Let me pause this. Okay. Since Tony is coming on tomorrow, what I did want to do is I am going to quickly run through a couple charts here. But then I'm gonna hand the reins to you guys, and you can ask me some TA questions. So if you would like to, and I can't promise to get to all of them if there's a lot, but why don't you go ahead and in the comments there drop whatever you'd like me to chart and take a look at. The charts that I have prepared to talk about are Bitcoin, Caspa, Clore, and Jasmy. So those are the charts that I have prepared. We're gonna kind of run through, and then maybe we should take a look at Ethereum as well. But those are the charts I have prepared. So, it's funny. I had tweeted this out just before the live stream that I think what a lot of people really misinterpret, and I think it's people that either, they're not into data analytics or math, or they're not chartists, whatever the case is. When I come out here and show a view of this, let's just take a look at this together. This is a proper interpretation of this chart. Okay, so I have drawn a bull pennant, okay? And this is a proper textbook technical pattern that is drawn on this chart. Now, this triggers some people because a lot of people will look at this, and you can't appease everyone, but a lot of people will look at this and they say, oh my God, this man is telling us this is what's going to happen, and he's saying we're going to $64,000. No, that's actually not what I'm saying. Let me communicate to you what I'm signaling to you with this view. What I am attempting to communicate to you, if you open your ears, mind, and eyes, is that this is a valid pattern on this chart, and if it plays out, the technical target is up towards $64,000. This is a bull flag on the Bitcoin 12-hour chart. Now, could this break down? Okay, now when we come back to this pattern, could this break down, right? Could we fall out of this pennant formation? There's a whole host of scenarios, guys. You know this if you've been here for a while. We could completely dump out of here and go much lower and then just resume going up, right? That's obviously one scenario. Another scenario is perhaps, because I've seen enough of these things play out, maybe we ultimately still have some sort of a downward, we have some sort of a downward trajectory, a downward channel here, and maybe we break up or break down, or the bull pennant does play out. But either way, there is a probability. I can't tell you the exact probability. There's a probability for this to play out, and I'm just showing the technical target. Okay, this is a bull pennant. Now I know that crypto Twitter is very, or the crypto community as a whole, not you guys. You guys are very well educated, and you guys are very unemotional with, for the most part, most of you, unemotional with your investments. But you guys are very well educated, right? But I would say what I have experienced is that it appears that the majority of people in crypto are emotional. And so right now on Wednesday, and today is Wednesday. How do I know it's Wednesday? It was a leg day. Wednesday, February 21st, Bitcoin is at 51,390. Now, today, people are salty and emotional about Bitcoin being at 51,390. But if we were having a conversation last week, a week and a half at this time, you guys would have been everyone, not you guys, but the crypto community would have been euphoric, right? Perspective, guys. It just goes to show in many ways how emotional the community is within crypto. All right. There is nothing. I want to really hit on something key here, and I know that Tony's going to be hitting on a lot of macro charts tomorrow. But there are a lot of macro higher time frame views that you and I have looked at together that I've shared on here that are still extremely bullish. Right now, we're waiting for February monthly close to come in, March's monthly close to come in. These will also provide clues and breadcrumbs in terms of, leading us in the likely direction of where price is going, having us feel more convicted. But all of the higher time frame action looks great, guys. Okay, there's going to be volatility day to day. As you can see with my relative expectation here that I painted out here in September on the weekly view, again, and I'm expecting this to deviate at some point. All right, I continue to state that because I don't want to give a false impression that I'm expecting my exact scenario to pan out here. I don't. I'm not that foolish, not that naive. But so far, it is playing pretty perfectly. And one of the things that I have illustrated here intentionally is that we would play with this $52,000 area for a few weeks. So it certainly was not my primary hypothesis for February to turn out to be some month where we closed above $52,000. If you recall, if you go back to prior live streams, I stand by the statements that I made that I was not, I was leaning in the direction that Bitcoin would sustain price action above $50,000, 50 to 52, in the month of March. Now, if you've been here, you know that, right? Could we shoot up to $60,000 by the weekend or next week? Absolutely. Everything is on the table, right? Could we correct down to 48 or lower? Everything's on the table, right? But so far, there's nothing on this chart that is leading me to feel bearish or concerned. Again, you really have to kind of like filter out the noise and decipher what people are saying on YouTube as well as X. When people are talking about a correction, people are talking about a dump, okay? Two things you have to ask yourself. One, how much of that is to garner attention for the content they're putting out? That's question one. Question two, how much validity is there in their statements? And base that question also, I guess it's really three questions. What time frame are they talking about? Because just to give perspective, if we went to a 30-minute chart, I mean, let's go back in time here real quick. If we were right here, okay, and we saw this green candle come in and we're kind of going sideways at 51.8 and we shoot up to 53 and then we get a harsh rejection and come all the way down here to 50,740. Okay, if we're focused on a 30-minute chart and we're a day trader, yeah, we had a really harsh correction. That's pretty rough, right? But even if you're focused on a 12-hour chart, there's no dumping going on. If you're focused on a daily, there's no dumping going on. If you're focused on a 3-day, there's no dumping going on. If you're focused on a weekly, a monthly, there's no dumping going on. Okay, so just ask yourself, what time frame are we talking about? Everything here is looking great. The RSI is still well above 70. MACD looks great, right? I'm not telling you what I want to see in the chart. I'm just communicating to you factual information. Tell me if the relative strength index has begun to negate the lower highs that were coming in. Yeah, it has. Is it above 70? Yeah. Is the MACD positive? Yeah, it is. Is the stochastic RSI bullish above 20 with a positive cross? Yeah, it is. So there's nothing, I just want to level set. There's nothing going on here that should concern you. We could spend time, and I'm sure we'll do it in another live stream. We'll go back in time to 2020 and 21. We'll go back to 2017. And we'll look at some of the erratic volatility that occurs on the movements up, right? Think about it this way. And again, I routinely convey to you very similar and the same thought processes to kind of nail into your head key points that I think are important for you to keep in mind. If you are invested in a market where you think there is potentially life-changing wealth, and that's a subjective term, based upon your investment threshold, for me, I have a significant amount of my liquid net worth in crypto. I think all of you fucking know that. But if you're invested in a space that has the potential to provide you with financial independence, great financial wealth, don't you think what will come with that is inherent risk? Question 2, if you think there's a high degree of volatility, right? A high degree of volatility for something, look at this price chart on Clore. If you think there's a potential high amount of volatility for an asset to do this, okay, don't you also think there's a high potential for an asset to, let's go to the Jasmy chart real quick. Don't you also think there's a high potential for an asset in an environment like that, a risky, risk-on environment like that, to do something like this? Look at this thing dumping from 22 going into 23, okay? So you have to understand it's almost like the movie Spider-Man, or actually the original comic book, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, with great risk to the upside comes great risk to the downside. I just came up with that one on the spot. With great risk to the upside comes great risk to the downside. I shouldn't say risk to the upside because we don't short crypto. You get the point. You get the point. All right. So there's going to be volatility, guys. Let's take a look at Caspa. So Caspa, for me, what are one of the earliest indications I will get that there's a potential trend reversal back to the upside? And we're going to be starting to hit that 30-cent plus mark that I see coming very soon. Nothing has changed about that for me. We need to break this downtrend. Now, the other thing I'm looking for on lower time frames, and I didn't really see any earlier, I was kind of reaching for it. I mean, there is a little bit here. I'm looking for bullish divergence on the lower time frames to tell me that there could be a potential trend reversal back to the upside. Because, again, when you see that bullish divergence begin to build in your lower time frames, if it sustains itself, it's giving you a clue there could be something bigger on the horizon on the higher time frames, and that bullish momentum, if sustained, is going to bleed over into the higher time frames, right? So you can see right now there is a little bit of, you see how we went lower in price here in the RSI. Yep, excuse me. The RSI is starting to build back up, okay? It's bullish divergence. So we'll have to see if that pans out, and also the descending resistance that I see on the 2 hour here. This is a 2 hour view. I want to see the MACD begin to flatten out and really for price to continue to sustain itself. Now, if you looked at this chart and you said to me, is Caspa dumping? I would ask you if you're on acid, crack, or cocaine. Now, I don't know enough about drugs to know if there's a distinction between any of those three today. Or hopefully never in my life I will know. But the whole point of this is you would need to be on some serious drugs if you think that price is dumping. This is a massive uptrend, okay? I don't know what to tell you other than I just see continued upside in this asset, which is why it represents an extremely large portion of my portfolio, and I have a high conviction in it. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing in the chart. And, you know, as price action develops, you look at enough of these charts, you know, who knows? Maybe we got some sort of a falling wedge here. There's all sorts of different scenarios. We have to allow the price to develop and play out and just remain patient. Clore, guys, I tweeted out earlier today. This is why it's important to follow me on X. I'll point out in Jasmy's chart why it's important to follow me on X, although I did share that chart on the live stream. This got some decent attention. So you can see here, just want to kind of point out that a similar, not as high a conviction as Caspa. I mean, I certainly have a much larger position in Caspa than I do in Clear AI, but similar in the sense that with Clear AI, the thing that I really, really, really like about this asset is that it's got both a strong fundamental narrative, as well as a very strong technical chart, okay? And the fact that it's proof of work. Proof and work is near and dear to me in my heart, just because my first love in this space, probably like many of you, was Bitcoin. So again, just kind of assessing what's going on in the chart here. Nothing needs to happen on this chart. Again, I'm not telling you this chart, okay, what I tweeted out today. Now, this is my interpretation. It's accurate to say this is CBG's depiction of what, in generalities, he believes will play out. So I do think that Clure, much sooner rather than later, is going to be $1 plus. That is around a 5x from wherever you're invested at current levels, okay? This, to me, looks like obvious accumulation, and then we have our expansion. We've had a little bit of a correction, consolidation, and accumulation, and now we're starting to expand out. You want to see, I mean, I'm sure you could get your 4-year-old child over here, and they could depict something for you very, very similar. So, Jasmine was conversing over the mobile phones, which I have learned. By the way, heads up, guys, maybe something we'll talk about on the CBG podcast. I was listening to something very recently, and I didn't fact check this statistic, but it basically on this podcast I was listening to, the statement was, on average, people look down at their phone on average per day 352 times. Now, I don't know, hopefully I'm misquoting that. Maybe that was per week, but I really think that was per day. People look down at their phones 352 times. So something we can talk about another day. But conversing with my chum on text message today, and he was saying my 0.17 call on Jasmine was pretty accurate. Now, my trade position, I'm almost fully out. Pigs get slaughtered, and I'm not going to be a pig in this market, so I'm mostly out of this trade. But look at this beautiful run. You guys know, now I had this on a 3-day originally, and I was pointing to this massive bullish divergence, right? Great example of something that did play out. And what I did is I had a smaller magnet here, okay? This is the initial zone. Once we break the 0.174, I was saying based on prior price confluence, not a whole lot of price confluence up there, that this thing couldn't run from 1.7 cents all the way up to like 4 cents. This is the next region up here. Now, I think this thing is overheated, and more than likely we are going to see a pullback. I think you would be foolish, especially unless you're an expert trader, to establish any sort of a position at these levels. And unless you're looking to do a quick scalp, but I would not be entering these levels. I would allow price to come back to you and be patient. You never chase an uptrend like this. Again, more than likely, we'll see some healthy consolidation because we're overbought. I just want to hold this level before resuming up. Now, again, there's no reason this thing couldn't double from here. Things can remain overbought and oversold for extended periods of time. So there certainly is a probability this thing could continue going up. Now, for me personally, I know that more times than not, that is not the case. And I've looked at whatever I've needed to evaluate in the charts to say, hey, more than likely what you should be doing is taking your profit, and realizing that in most cases, you've made the smartest decision by selling out at logical areas and not being greedy. In some situations, though, you'll have this thing, run, and you have to be okay with that, right? Just because in most situations it's not. Now, if you're a little bit more advanced and you know what you're doing, of course you can set up stop losses and get stopped out using moving averages and areas of price confluence, but that's perhaps for a more detailed, perhaps educational series that will come out on technical analysis at some point, something I have been toying with. The idea of. Those were the charts that I wanted to cover. Love that this trade worked out perfectly. Hoping that everybody, some of you, established maybe a small position and we're able to grab some profits just scaling out in this region. Very, very little I have left in this trade. All right, let's see who we have in the live stream. And with time remaining, which there really isn't much of, I was rambling there for quite some time. Wanted to see if there are any TA questions. I forget if I think I said, Juan, that my predominant view was seeing cast 30 cents this month. That would give us 8 more days, which is plenty of time. So I certainly could see that as a possibility. But again, one of the hardest things to I've always said this. I've said this so many times. One of the hardest things to project out and make I hate using the word prediction sometimes, but a prediction on is time, okay? So maybe Caspa won't hit 30 cents until March 3rd or March 7th, you know? But yeah, my predominant view was February for sure. Nothing has changed there. Still plenty of time. WTK, is this a question on a chart, Juan? Let's see what we got. If it is, I'm going to try and go through this real quick because I want to try to get to everybody's questions. I don't know how many other questions there are. Okay, we got some good price. Wow, we got a lot of price data here. I'm going to go to a higher time frame on a weekly. Greg. Black oil is the fucking OG of the live stream. Thank you, brother. Love to see you in the live stream. And I think you know by this point I deeply appreciate the support. Believe me. Believe me, I do. Believe me. Believe me. Now, one thing I'm charting here. Watch out for this potential. This is on the weekly. What's up, Rob? This is on the weekly. What is this, guys? Do you have any idea what this is? This is a rising wedge. So we're wide up here and then we're getting narrow. That's a bearish pattern. This thing could have a breakdown. Now, if we get a breakdown, where would I want to see an area of support hold? Of course, we have an area all the way down. Whoop. That's kind of tough. Right there. That's fine. It's clean to a degree. It's a fairly clean chart, but some of these areas, I don't like how they're going through candle bodies. All right, so my main regions of resistance, it looks like I have 2.2 cents, 1.4 cents, and then all the way down there at 3/4 of a penny. So that's what I see as areas of support. Now, where are we going to have some problem spots getting above for areas of resistance? Again, red is for resistance, around 3.3 cents. Again, this is higher time frame, my friend. So 3.3 cents, around we're going to call it 3.8. I want to get this wick in here, 3.8. And then I'll just go up to the top here where we wicked up, which kind of makes sense. Yeah, this region right here would make sense because you can see we came down here, bounced, held as support, wicked again for support, and then once we broke, this is going to be, that's the story that you want to create on a chart like this. So, you know, really the 5.2 cent area to the 3.3 cent area, right between 5.2 and 3.3. This is going to be a major zone of resistance to get above. Now, once we start popping above that, shit be popping because there's not, again, we've had a waterfall down in price. So your next area of resistance is 8 cents, followed by, 11.2. I mean, you can get pretty granular in here if you wanted to. You could say 17.3. I'm just going to keep going. 38.6, and then wherever this thing had its initial coin offering, which is 69 cents. So that's what I got. Anything on the technical indicators to be aware of? No. We do have an upward sloping RSI line, which is good to see that that's holding. Nah, nothing else. Pretty nice looking chart. Pretty nice looking chart. I like the symmetry in it. Rory. High Street. Interesting name. This is a really interesting. You know, after just assessing the Adam and Eve that's on H-bar, I'd need to see if this is an Adam and Eve itself. Of course, if it is, I think what we would need to do, have a rounding bottom that comes all the way up here to around 460, cup and handle, and then a break up. It's kind of what it looks like at the moment, like we might be forming an Adam and Eve, only because I'd have to verify that. I'm not as privy to the exact technicals on the Adam and Eve, but I have a pretty good idea. Sharp V shape right here, followed by a rounding bottom. We need this to come up higher, and then you get a little handle in here, like a cup and handle, and then you break the neckline and you break up. All right, let's see what else we have. But there's no, I will say this, no question there's a rounding bottom. Wouldn't be surprised if we have bullish divergence on the RSI, which, I mean, we have increasing. So, yeah, I mean, even the RSI, it's going up. So, this thing looks like it could be setting up for an explosive move up. I'm just going to, well, I'll give you a region. It's fine. I'll give you two lines of price confluence that you want to see hold as support. So ultimately, I want to see this hold support between $1.40 and $1.15. Okay, $1.40 and $1.15. All right. Now, where are we going to run into some difficulty getting above? I really like this chart. I think you can tell by the look on my face. The more I'm looking at this chart and charting it, the more I like it. It's real easy to chart, real clean, easy on the eyes. Ooh. Easy on the eyes. And there is an area of resistance right around 210, 211. We're wicking all the way up here several times. Pretty obvious that once we get above 283, shit could get a little wild. Of course, we do have that temporary resistance right here at 470. I think once you clear this, I'll give you a prediction. When you see price action on this chart, on high, on Coinbase, I might take a trade position on this one. I kind of like this one. You can tell how much I'm enjoying this. I mean, I love this rounding bottom. This is a great looking chart. This is the highest amount of sexiness that I have seen all day. This is the most beautiful thing I've seen all day. Now, either I have a sad life or there's a beautiful woman missing in my life. Could be both. Could be both. Okay, so my prediction, I'm going to give you a prediction. Once we break around the $2.80 area, this line of resistance, I think we're flying, and we're going to at least double top here towards 470. I don't think we're stopping. We're going up to the 470 area. That's where you potentially, I'm just saying, potentially could get this rounding cup, part of the Adam and Eve, with the handle, and then a move up. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beauty. What a beauty. Oh, Kathleen, you got two. I don't think I can get to both. So we're going to look at, I think by track you mean track origin trail, right? Yeah, I'm not going to have time for both, Kathleen. We're already at 34 minutes. I'm trying to keep these to 34 to 35. So, or 30 to 35. Weekly, okay, you can see there's a major area of resistance on Coinbase right at that dollar area. Once we break $1, see, the difficult thing is this has a lot more price data. What exchange with that? Was I not looking at that anymore because it's shit, what was the name of the exchange? Wow, why am I forgetting? Is that it? Really? I thought I had more charts than that. What the hell else exchange where there's a lot more price data? Well, regardless, there is another exchange, and it's escaping me the exchange, but maybe it was Bittrex. No, I don't know. There's another exchange that has a lot more price data, which can give you a lot better view on this. And I had it charted out. My God. Okay, well this sucks. All right, for the sake of conversation, let's just move on and go back to Coinbase. So you can see once we clear a dollar on track, that's when things are going to get really spicy and interesting. Now, I know the prior cyclical all-time high for this thing was up over $3. So I think I have a track video out there. I'm still standing by that call. In fact, this thing has been one of the strongest movers as it's been in the AI space. It's very possible you could see this token double digits as a blow off top. We hit over $3. It was in that $3 range. So once we clear a dollar, now this is Coinbase's exchange, which doesn't have all of the price data. Once we clear a dollar, there's not a lot of resistance up here. Okay, you can see it $1.29, $1.70. I don't know why this wick goes all the way up to 624 because we never reached that on the other exchange. But yeah, it's very possible you could see this thing over $10. I mean, this has been an extremely strong performer. Chart's looking awesome. Now, if I look at the price indicators, we are a little overbought on the RSI, but that doesn't mean we can't remain overbought for an extended period of time. MACD looks good too. It looks like it might want to cool off. Wouldn't be surprised to see a continued rejection in this region for a few weeks. We stall out, and then we start to break through maybe by next month. We'll have to see how the market goes. So goes Bitcoin and Ethereum. So go over the rest of the market. Ethereum's still a king coin, guys. King altcoin. Good to see you in here, Kathleen, by the way. Hank, you fucking know it. I felt the GIF was very appropriate from earlier. Mazda Dashcam, welcome in. Always good to see you. Very, very interesting screen name there. Yeah, I'm pretty damn bullish. Jeprox, very good to see you in the live stream. Speaking of 6 o'clock where you're at. Speaking of early in the morning, I might do an early AM live stream again. I might tinker with that on Friday once again. So we'll see. You know, every now and then. And if you can't unfortunately join very early in the morning, you can always catch it in syndication. But I might do my Friday live stream super early. We'll see. Todd has a question on ACH. Let's take a look at Alchemy Pay. I don't think anything really has changed. Of course, I own a decent stack of this bad boy. Yeah, we're at the moment we're just getting, we're getting rejected by this downward area of resistance. Once we can clear this, I mean, Todd, the thing is, as long as we're not breaking, I think this is on a weekly as well. Okay, good. As long as we're not breaking down below this area here, okay, I want to maintain, I really ideally want to stay around 1.8 cents and above. But as long as we're not, coming all the way down here, we're literally just in a, we're reasserting ourselves within the market, trying to find our footing. And what we've successfully done is we've just created the higher highs and higher lows. And I know this might sound like a boring story because it is a story I tell in a lot of charts, but it's an accurate, consistent story. We're building the higher highs and higher lows, right? So where I'm going with this is there's nothing interesting that's going to go on in this chart until we start to break out above 4.4 cents, really 5 cents, which was this area here, okay? So there's really nothing for me to update you on besides to say just stay patient. We're continuing to accumulate. Nothing is breaking down. In fact, we're seeing some positive developments on our price indicators on the higher time frame. RSI is picking up at 60, which is great. We continue to have this upsloping RSI. Stochastic RSI has picked up. We're above 20, 68 over 37. MACD's crossed up. There's no reason, as long as the market also continues to sustain itself and Bitcoin is ultimately going where I think by March, there's no reason you're not going to see a very strong surge in price sometime soon. So we'll have to see, but be patient. That's what I would say. Always good to see Ra. Every time I am logged on to CBG, my grand asks if I am listening to my teacher when I try to go higher. Well, I'm glad that I come across that way because that is I did a lot of tutoring back in the day, and it was a field that I would have pursued had I not become an actuary. So you're welcome, Todd. All right, great to see everyone. I'm going to be signing out. Before I sign out, make sure you hit the thumbs up if you haven't. And make sure to tune in. Okay, I lost it. Tony the BTC Bull, as a reminder, he will be on the live stream tomorrow at 5 p.m. promptly Eastern Standard Time. Okay, tomorrow at 5 p.m. This is the agenda that Tony and I will be covering. Tony's the expert. He's going to be speaking to a lot of these things. So really looking forward to it. If you weren't here, Tony was first on the live stream back in late July of last year. And if you haven't watched that live stream, go back to July 26th on my live feed and listen and watch that. I was actually listening to it. I told him I was listening to it on the drive back here over the weekend. And I thought it was very, very educational, very good live stream. So, I mean, if I didn't know whose channel it was, I would subscribe. I'm just saying. Just saying. If you're not subscribed, you may want to consider it. All right, guys, I will see you back here tomorrow. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are at. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Until later. You see how you fumble up the ending there? Let's all spread awareness. Let's all spread awareness and carry the education forward. Wow. That was a smooth exit, everybody. Smooth Criminal. That's a great song.